Hey everyone, and welcome to this quick introduction to KNIME. So, I've had a couple of friends reach out to me in the past telling me they would like to learn data analysis, but they do not want to code. So, in case you are one of such people and you've ever wanted to analyze or visualize data, automate tasks, or build machine learning models without coding or with little coding, KNIME is the perfect tool for you. In this video, I'm going to show you how to download KNIME, install KNIME, walk you through the interface, and help you build your first simple workflow. So let's get started. First, let's download KNIME. So you head over to knime.com, beautiful page. Let's go to what we're interested in. Click download. Next, you take some time to fill this in. Then click on download. Oh, remember to check those boxes. Now, personally, I just like going for the installer, so you can click download on that. And then, if you're using a Mac or a Linux as well, ensure to choose a file that is suitable for your PC. I'm just going to go ahead and download. So now I have it downloaded. I can begin the installation process because I have multiple users in this PC. I accept. Next. 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 Advise I leave all these ticked. So you might have a problem with Windows Defender. It's like it says substantially slow down startup of KNIME Analytics platform. So you might need to consider adding KNIME as an exception to Windows Defender. I could show you another video to do that. So installation has started. Now you can click finish once it's done installing. It take a while for it to load being the first time. Upon your first launch, depending on what you choose here, it will ask you if you want this to be your default directory, and it shouldn't ask you for a directory when you're opening them. Personally, I leave this window to keep popping up. That is, I do not select this as default because I like to have my KNIME workflows in different folders depending on the task or the project I am working on. Next, click launch. Over here you have your workflow editor. This is where you build and visualize your analysis. Here we have your node repository. This contains all the tools on nodes, as we'll call them in KNIME, that you can use to build your workflows. And if we drag and drop a node here, we can see more information on the info tabs when we click on it in the left pane. And then the Explorer here shows us the files that are currently in our workspace, which is what we selected earlier on. Then KAI, if you may call it, is more like KNIME's co-pilot basically. And then we can monitor the state of the nodes and workflows in general. At the bottom here, you have your console log. This will be more intelligible when we have a sample workflow with about 3 nodes. So it basically shows you the errors that you might be getting and warnings about your workflow. Also, primarily, it shows you the final output of your current workflow after it has been executed. We'll get a little bit into what flow variables are in a later video. At the top right, you have your menu where you can decide to switch to the classic user interface, install extensions if there are some 9 extensions that you need to install for certain tasks, or you need more nodes that will come in handy. Here you have preferences as well. One thing here that I want you to note is you have this option here. It says notes included in the node repository and node recommendations. Do you want it to be all notes or starter notes? Most likely, if this is your first time opening KNIME, you will have it set to starter notes. So in case you're probably following a tutorial and having issues trying to find a particular node, ensure that all notes is ticked and always remember to apply and close. Next, you have the help where you can get more documentations, cheat sheets really comes in handy, and then get help from KNIME community. Remember that you have to have an account for you to be able to get more value in the KNIME community. Now let's talk about key terminologies and concepts in KNIME. First, nodes. These is KNIME 101. You have to know what nodes are, and basically nodes are the building blocks of a workflow. Each node performs a specific task like reading data. Here you have your Excel reader and CSV reader, very common examples when using KNIME. You could also have filters, and then you have a node for row filters and column filters, and then you could also have, for example, if I search for filter, there are a lot more filtering nodes in KNIME, and then you also have machine learning nodes as well to help you build machine learning models. For example, I have the logistic regression learner and then the predictor, and then also you have some aggregation that you can perform. There are a lot of nodes that you can use in KNIME basically, and KNIME is open source, so meaning that the community as well also helps to develop. You have many extensions and libraries from different creators here on KNIME. So we also have what we call workflows. A workflow is basically a series of connected nodes that perform a complete analysis. So for example, my workflow could be as simple as using CSV reader to reading a CSV file and filtering out specific rules based off on a specific condition. We'll get into that in a little while. Another thing to note is that most nodes have inputs and output ports. Now, the input port basically receives data from another node. For example, I could import a CSV into the workflow and connect it to the row filter. Right now, you see nothing. As I said, we'll get into that in a bit. And then the output port basically also sends out that process. So once we are done with the filtering, we can send out that filter data set into another node. And this is another way you could add nodes as well, rather than having to drag and drop. So you could just drag out the output port and then connect it to a joiner node. Another thing to note is that some nodes have multiple inputs and output ports, and then you can also add, for example, in column appender node, you can add nodes, you can add input ports rather, and some nodes also allow you to add output ports. Another key term is execution and the state of your node. For example, here we have three different CSV readers. We have one showing in red, we have one showing in yellow, and we have one showing green. I mean, basic traffic light, right? Okay, so in this first instance, we have that the node has not been configured, and then if you click on the danger sign here or hover over the danger sign, you see it says please specify a file, and for you to do that you need to configure. One way you could configure it is click on settings, or you double click on the node. Again, we'll get into that in a bit. Once that's configured, you have it showing yellow, meaning that it's been configured but yet to execute, and then you have the option to execute. An executed node shows you green and also shows you your output. Remember that we can now take this output and use it as an input for another node. So we're going to start with building our first simple workflow. We could come to the node repository and search for the CSV reader, which is the first node that we're using in our workflow. We could configure by clicking on settings or double clicking on the node, and then you look for the file that you need. Here I'm just going to go to the file I need. You can have a quick preview over here, and once you're fine with it, you could apply. Once you've applied, click OK, and then to add a new node to this. Now my node is not executed yet, so I can execute now or wait till the end to execute. I can decide to add a row filter node and decide that I want to look for matches against Chelsea and Arsenal, with Chelsea being at home and Arsenal being away. So I could add a criterion. So I've selected all the conditions, and now I can apply. Then finally, I'm going to add in the CSV reader node, CSV writer node. Select that to be able to write it into a CSV file. Then make sure that it has .csv attached, and I say OK. Now I can execute all the nodes. And to see my final output, I see that it's written. I could open this in Excel. So here's the file saved in the location I specified, and I can open the file to just see. And there we have it. That's a quick introduction to KNIME, and we've learned how to install it. We've explored the interface, and we've also built a basic workflow. If you want to learn more about KNIME, stay tuned to my YouTube channel, as I'll be uploading KNIME content weekly. And till then, you could also check out the KNIME website and community forums for more tutorials and templates. The link will be in the description. And if you found this video helpful, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Thank you for watching, and happy KNIMing.